The internet has been speculating about Jon Snow's parentage for some time. Is he really the bastard child of Ned Stark and some random woman? And admiring Stannis doubts that.
You think highly of this boy?
Lord Commander of the Night's Watch?
A bastard by some tavern slut.
Perhaps, but that wasn't Ned Stark's way.
This show tips its hand to Jon's real mother later in the episode when Sansa's lighting a candle for the aunt she never knew, Lyanna Stark. King Aerys's madness is what kicked off the war that ended the Targaryen reign, but Rhaegar absconding with Lyanna is why Robert Baratheon specifically set out to kill him.
Sansa calls it rape because King Robert did.
What Rhaegar Targaryen did to your sister, the woman I loved.
And that means Ned did, and so that's what she's been brought up to believe. But Littlefinger's expression suggests there's more to it than that, and after what we learn about Rhaegar from his close companion Barristan Selmy, it seems ridiculous. Rhaegar was a gentle soul who loved to sing and gave money to orphanages. I doubt Sir Barristan would ever admire someone so much who had it in them to assault Lyanna Stark.
They were together for at least a year, and during that time, very few people saw hide nor hair of Lyanna, who was stashed away in Dorne. After Rhaegar died, Ned found Lyanna in Dorne at the Tower of Joy, dying. He doesn't speak about her much, but it sure is interesting that he returned to Winterfell with two things: his sister's body and a newborn named Jon Snow he claimed was his son. Yeah, right, Ned.
So if Rhaegar was such a good guy, why would he disrespect his wife Elia? It might be for the very thing Jon Snow despises: prophecy. Rhaegar was a voracious reader, and his studies led him to believe that Azor Ahai would come again, a prince who was promised, who would defeat the White Walkers and save the world. Melisandre believes Stannis to be Azor Ahai, but Rhaegar became convinced his bloodline would give birth to Azor Ahai.
Rhaegar, in his communications with his great-uncle Maester Aemon, came to believe that Azor Ahai would be accompanied by two siblings, due to a prophecy that said the dragon had 3 heads. But he only had 2 children with Elia, who couldn't have a third because she was so frail.
Meanwhile, Lyanna was fierce as a wolf. She was strong and loved to fight. Arya has been compared to her many times. And in terms of their lineage and ancestral homes, Lyanna was the ice to Rhaegar's fire. She was the ideal mother for Azor Ahai come again.
Rhaegar was clearly wrong about his 3 children since Gregor Clegane killed 2. Jon could still be Azor Ahai, of course. Maybe the Mother of Dragons will join him? And a third mystery candidate?
Lyanna died in Dorne, which is interesting because that means the Dornish were hiding her. Elia was Oberyn and Dorne's sister. They didn't love that Rhaegar embarrassed Elia at the Harrenhal tourney, but it's possible they actually supported their brother-in-law bringing Lyanna into the mix. After all, we've heard time and again about their open attitudes towards love and relationships.
Look at how Ellaria gets on with Oberyn's children from his other affairs, as if she's their second mother. Complicated families are a big part of Dornish culture, so why not polyamory too? This probably had something to do not just with liberated sexual attitudes, but their more feminist leanings, which we get a hint of with Oberyn's warrior daughters, the Sand Snakes.
One of his daughters is named Nym, short for Nymeria. You might remember that as the name of Arya's wolf. Nymeria was a warrior queen who came west from Essos long ago after her people lost an epic battle against the dragon-riding Valyrians. They were called the Rhoynar, and when they landed in Dorne, they married into the Martell family. This is why the kings of Westeros are always introduced as kings of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men. Because the Rhoynar came over with Nymeria.
Nymeria was an equal ruler to her Martell husband, maybe even greater. And that's why Dorne treats women as more equal to men than they do in the rest of the 7 kingdoms. Which means the Sand Snakes may have a few more weapons at their disposal than Cersei Lannister, whose main weapon is sneering at you over a glass of wine.
Though Cersei did unleash a dangerous new force on Westeros in the Faith Militant. We'll see where that leads us, and whether Barristan or Grey Worm survive next week on House Slate. Dany faces a similar dilemma. Do you eradicate your foes, or try to find a way to live with them? Initially, she tries the former, but Missandei reminds her to trust her own instincts, and that leads Dany to a radical conclusion. To make peace, she's willing to make a king of his dark